I have the privilege of introducing to you Graham and Bill. Maybe two words about personal background. Bill, can you tell us what are the books that you wrote and about what topics, other than the Unstoppables?
Well, I wrote a bestseller. I was trying for 2 years to write a marketing book, and I couldn't think of anything interesting to say, so I wrote a book about weightlifting, and that was a bestseller.
About weightlifting?
Yeah, so procrastination is really, the power of procrastination is my secret. But I wrote a book called Why Johnny Can't Brand, Rediscovering the Lost Art of the Big Idea, which is about finding the one big idea you stand for. And then a book called The Microscript Rules, which is how to differentiate yourself, how to tell your sales story in a sentence or less.
Can you give us a sentence about the Unstoppable or less?
Actually, I can. And I've got to read because I'm the author, so I'm allowed to read from the book. The Unstoppables is about how the chairman of Rackspace, some Navy SEALs, and a few Israeli innovators and members of the elite forces came together and discovered the heart of entrepreneurship.
Good. We will get back to you. Graham, it's a pleasure to see you again. Can you tell us how you make a living?
I toil every day trying to make a living. I'm one of the co-founders of Rackspace Hosting, and
which was founded when?
Founded 13 and a half years ago.
And you are now the executive chairman, right?
I am.
And also the CEO.
I'm not CEO. No. When we went public, I said I'll leave that joy to someone else.
Okay. And can you tell us what are? This is a public company, so I'm not asking any secrets. What are the sales of the company?
We don't disclose that.
It's not a public company?
I've heard that so many times. No, it's a billion. We did $1.3 billion last year. $1.3 billion
last year. I don't know. I met you 2 years ago. It was billion. So how it grew to billion?
Yeah, that's what's happened in 18 months.
What is your rate of growth?
We grew 28% last year.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
Surpassed 5,000 employees. We had 800 employees last year. Added 800. So.
And this is the third time that we are meeting, Graham.
That's right.
Can we start with the second time?
Yes.
How did we meet the second time?
Well, the second time was at the HBO screening.
Right.
For the orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly orphanage, for the school of the...
Excuse me, the school, right,
yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. And you flew especially from Texas...
I did.
To spend an hour and a half to see the documentary, and then you went back to Texas.
I did.
This was really very impressive. I invited Graham to see a documentary which HBO made about a school in Tel Aviv for deprived kids, and he flew especially, took half a day off, flew especially to New York to see the movie and went back to Texas. This gives you, I think, some idea about the priority of this gentleman. It really was extraordinary. And the first time that we met, Bill, you came to Israel.
We came to Israel.
Why did you come to Israel?
Why did we come to Israel?
You didn't come there to celebrate your bar mitzvah. So why did you come?
We came to Israel because Graham and I had decided a few months before that to see if we could kind of solve a problem, not even to write a book, but solve a problem. How do we crack the code as far as what it really takes to be entrepreneurial, to make entrepreneurs? Because we think that America needs millions more entrepreneurs, not just a few more entrepreneurs. And as we were thinking about this problem, and we were saying, the college professors don't seem to have the essence, we picked up a copy of The Startup Nation and said, we don't have the answer yet, but we're going to book some plane tickets and go there because they know a lot. Somehow in 20 years or so, they become a superpower in entrepreneurship and in startups. And we just want to find out what they're doing because America is the original startup nation, but we've lost our mojo, maybe just a little bit. We went there, took an entrepreneurial risk. We didn't know if we were going to have any meetings. I didn't know if Graham's time, to go for a whole week in Israel. We didn't know what we were going to. We met one person, and he said, I have 8 people you need to speak to. And then we met somebody else who had 8 people. Before we know, in a week, we'd spoken to the chief scientist, we'd spoken to Orna Berry, we'd spoken to Yair Shamir, we'd spoken to Jaime Perez and people like that, and we met Yossi. We met Yossi. Before he even spoke to us, he took us across the street to go to a kibbutz concert and hear kibbutz greatest hits from the past.
Not exactly, but I will tell you the story.
But we had that amazing, which inspired us really to understand that entrepreneurship is about emotional mechanics more than technical, practical, or business mechanics. The emotional mechanics first, and that was, and it all was inspired through Israel.
Graham, you grow company 28% per year, not by leaving your office and staying away from the company, or maybe staying away from the company is the reason why the company is growing so fast.
Perhaps.
And you took a week, and you went to Israel. What drove you to do it? Why did you decide to leave the office, to spend the week? What did you try to figure? What was the issue?
Well, first of all, Rackspace today has 200,000 customers. Are there any customers in the audience? Any customers? So Rackspace today has
just a minute. Any customer of a competing service?
everyone who did.
We want to give you a better offer, right?
Absolutely. So Rackspace today has 200,000 customers. We're the world's largest hosting company. We do work for 2/3 of the Fortune 500. But my heart still lies with the startups that we host. YouTube started at Rackspace. I remember the very first 3 servers, the first 1,000 servers that YouTube had were at Rackspace. And so these are the stories that I really love. And I as an entrepreneur, I'm always searching for how does the world create more entrepreneurs? To me, America's future, all of America's job growth over the last 10 years has come from young companies less than 5 years old. And all the research points to this. And so to me, America has to figure out how to build an engine of startups. And when I read the book, Startup Nation, I remember closing the book and calling the phone to my friend Bill and saying, I've just read a very incredible book about a place in the world that has built a startup engine like America must have. Let's go there. And so that is what led us to your doorstep. And I think that what we learned so much in our time there, because we learned that there's a whole country, you've spoken about this, where the Jewish mother has said to their children, go be entrepreneurs. And I think that this has had an incredible effect. That is to me, the leadership from the Jewish mother, the leadership from the chief scientist, leadership from the technion, leadership from the godfather of the startup movement in Israel. That is, all of these things have come together to create just an incredible force in the world that has inspired me. And I think that, again, what Bill said was that one of the things that we encountered over and over was the idea that building a startup in Israel is seen as part of the duty of making Israel a more prosperous and stronger place. And when a country can have such alignment like that, it becomes more powerful. This is not, America perhaps is too big to have that level of alignment. But it is the sort of thing that we need today. We need it in America today. And it's something that I will always remember from our time in Israel, that is the amount of alignment. That is, you fight with each other all the time, but you are also aligned in that you feel that the mission, your individual mission, Yossi, and all the people who we met with would have said, my effort to build entrepreneurship in Israel makes Israel a more prosperous and stronger and more secure and safer place.
Graham, I must make a personal comment, if you don't mind. I'm in business since '69, so I'm now in business, how is the mathematics works, 44 years or something like this. I met probably 2/3 of the Fortune 500 chief executive officers. I met thousands of them, and I can tell you, you are one in a kind, your way of thinking and your curiosity and your willingness, to get on the plane and They came to Israel. They decided they have to explore it. I'm telling you, they came to Israel, they didn't have any itinerary. They had 4 days, and then they said, in these 4 days, we will go and explore and see how we are going to crack the issue. On, I think I was your last meeting on Friday, just before they ran into the airport, and by that time, they already had the idea what's going on. It was really amazing, and I think your next book should be how to create companies which grow 30% in 1 year. I think it will be, I'm not joking. Well, do you want to give us one line of the formula, how to grow company?
I think we've seen, the name of the book is The Unstoppables. And you've seen dozens of presentations today by entrepreneurs who are unstoppable. Right? You can see it when they speak, when they try to sell you, when they explain, use their passion. You can see an unstoppable entrepreneur is just something magical, whether in Israel or Russia or America. I think the question is, how does one become unstoppable? And I think that at the heart of being unstoppable is about taking your fear and converting it into your power. This is how small companies can innovate so much faster than large ones. There's no fear in big companies. There's business objectives, there's strategies, there's thought, there's logic in big companies, but there's no fear. There's no fear that you're going to go out of business or that you may not keep your reputation. There's very little of that. But a young company has to put itself on the map, has to make a name for itself, has to become famous for something. It has to be totally confident that it will succeed in doing so, and yet have unspoken doubt that reaches all the way deep into your heart. That's how you become unstoppable. That is, being able to both have incredible fear of humiliation, that is, you're going to tell your family and friends you're going to quit your good job, quit your paycheck, and I'm going to go try this crazy idea. And yet you don't know whether 2 years later you will be asking for your job back, whether 2 years later you'll be explaining to your mother that you had failed. That is, being being completely cognizant of that doubt, and yet being willing and able to communicate to everyone you meet that my idea is going to succeed. To me, this is how small companies disrupt big ones. This is also why small companies will always out-innovate big ones. One of the statements that we put in the book was from you, Yossi, which is, God made the world in 7 days. What was the quote?
God made the world in 6 days because he didn't have a customer base. Right.
God was able to make the world in 6 days or 7 days?
I think it was 6 days. Well, he's arrested.
7 days.
Okay.
Graham needs to go to
I think
Hebrew
the Gentiles
school.
took 7 days. Okay. But I think that God made the world in 6 days because he didn't have a customer base. And I think that is the big companies that you compete with and can out-innovate. They are stuck with their customer base. They are not able to innovate. They have too many existing conflicting interests. They have too many people making commissions already that can't be changed. And I think that this is, to me, this is the place where Israel can get right under the tent.
So Graham, you have a tragedy. You started with a startup, that small company that you love so much, and unfortunately, it grew to a giant. How you are coping with with running a big company with this kind of an approach? Well, how you introduce the merits of small and nimble and fast and commando-like to a large company?
Well, I think it's really done at Rackspace by having the company run as a series of teams. First of all, bigness is definitely creates a headwind. But I think that the key to remaining entrepreneurial is involving everyone in the company in the business, making the business and the results and your success belong to everyone, inviting everyone into the business and expecting everyone to participate in it. But also keeping the accountability small and multifunctional. That is, have teams that are very small. And this is actually something that we learned in studying the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs have teams of 4 or 5, and each member of that team has a different function. But if it's a matter of a sniper doing his job, that sniper is in full control of the team during that time. So I think, look, I think it is. There are certainly pros and cons with being big, but I think Israel is one of the things that we encountered in Israel was a sense of an inferiority complex with being not feeling like you can't build companies big. And I think that's misplaced. I think that feeling is misplaced because your competitive advantage is in building the small companies, the innovative companies. And if some of them grow big, you know why? Is because you sell them to big, rich American companies. That's okay.
Yeah?
That's absolutely okay. Israel has created an engine of startups and innovation that is, to me, that if the rich American companies come and overpay you for those innovations, so be it. You take the money and go back and do it again.
Yeah. But let me also say, when we started this thing, Graham, like a lot of things, a lot of times you succeed and you do great things, and you look back and you know some of what you did, but you don't really know all of what you did, and you want to keep replicating it, so you try to analyze it. I think Graham and I, at 15 minutes of material that we could talk about, I had a sense of what it was because I came in from the outside, and I'd seen a lot of companies too, because I'm a brand consultant and a former madman. A lot of those things. I'd never met anyone or a culture like Graham's. Yeah. What we realized is that there was a lot of...
They broke the mold,
What's that?
After they made him, they broke the mold.
Well, what was going on at Rackspace was, and we didn't say at the time, but Rackspace runs on love. And that's a word people don't like to use in business, but there's no other word for it. Rackspace runs on belief. And fear is always going to be there. But either you can use fear like a fire. You can use a fire to cook your dinner or burn down your house. If you turn fear to your advantage in a small company, it turns into power if you steer that fear. If you use fear against your employees, to keep your employees in line, to hold them down, to suppress them and keep them following the line, that's a negative thing. That's a fear culture. And we started to realize that, hey, that's one of the things that's going on in Rackspace. When we talked to the SEALs and members of the Israeli Special Forces, they validated this. And these are the toughest guys in the world at getting things done, in the world, right? At getting things done under the most uncertain, difficult, high-risk circumstances where life's on the line. And these guys will tell you, you know what it is? It's love. It runs the love in those teams. We take fear, first of all, and we steer it. And we use it as our power. And then the love of that mission and those teammates is what makes this happen. And we realized that's what entrepreneurs did. And we need to talk about it, because that's what you guys do. So that was a lot of it was validated for us.
I would like, if it's okay with you, to go back to this issue of selling small companies, because this is a big debate in Israel. The Israeli high-tech society is torn between those who believe in fast exits and those who believe not in them. By the way, last year at the President Conference, I interviewed an expert on the topic, but from a totally another field, and I wanted to borrow from her knowledge to this thing. She was absolutely against fast exits. She was Dr. Ruth Westheimer, and she really didn't endorse. But so it was a blow to me, I must tell you. But I agree with you. We have in Israel 300 R&D centers of foreign companies. Most of them are Americans, but in recent years we have a lot of Europeans, even Far East. And I agree with you that the relationship between the small, fast, innovative Israeli guys and what the large American companies can bring, the market, discipline, finance, long-term strategic thinking, etc. This what create this fantastic ecosystem. So the next question is, when are you setting your R&D center in Israel?
ABC. ABC. Always be closing. You see,
we Rackspace founded Rackspace open sourced. We open sourced our cloud software 3 years ago. It's called OpenStack, And we're about to have an OpenStack conference in Israel in a few weeks, and
Really?
we already have nearly 1,000 attendees. So
That's wonderful.
I think OpenStack is going to be a very important cloud way for the world to build open source clouds. And so we believe that the best way for us to be in Israel is that way.
How the A company perceive you?
I don't know. We believe that there are two cloud views. There's the view that there are four major cloud companies. There's Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Rackspace. Of course, Rackspace being by far the smallest. The view of the other three guys, the proprietary guys, are that there will be one cloud in the world, and Microsoft would like for that to be Microsoft. Amazon would like for that to be Amazon, and Google would like that to be theirs. We believe in a million cloud world. We don't think that Microsoft is going to be running the Israeli army's cloud anytime soon. So we believe that there will be a million clouds. There will be hundreds in Israel, and again, Rackspace will be involved in running some of them. But that we open sourced our clouds so we could build hybrid clouds that could run anywhere in the world. So, I think that we have very different points of view. Again, their point of view is there will be one cloud, and that no matter what country you're in, you'll be running theirs. We just don't think that that's likely, and we don't think that's even good for Israel or for Egypt or for Syria, any of your neighbors. So I think that this is something that the whole world can be united on. That is, we should have a global, in the same way that we have global standards for what gasoline molecule is, or for what electricity is, or that is the voltage in every country is the same. That's a standard. We think the cloud should also be built on open standards. We don't think that any one for-profit company should own the global cloud standard. I think there's another aspect that we don't think about very often, which is America is the incumbent industrial power. And like any incumbent, it is subject to being disrupted. We used to think that General Electric would always build its engines in America. But today they're made in China, they're made in Brazil, they're made all over the world. We used to think that all General Electric R&D should be done in America. Not true. Today it's all over the world. So this is a form of disruption. The last 20 years, the disruption was manufacturing left and call centers left. But really the heart of America's technology has also been doing this R&D. We no longer have a lock on R&D for the world. It can be done in many different places, and especially in Israel. So to me, this is where what is America's future is still in creating and launching the innovations. That is, and to me, this is the marriage between Israel and America is so important. It's really a unique marriage where the innovation can happen. Of course, it happens in America as well. But to me, the role of Israel is very clear, which is you're the innovation engine, we are the market that welcomes what you do, and then we'll share them the rest of the world.
Right. I have a firm belief. We need each other. America needs Israel to succeed and be strong and keep doing what it's doing and to stay vital and be what Israel is. We'll never be Israel. Israel needs us too. We need each other to be strong. We both need to be basically the startup nations together, and that partnership is incredible. And I know that's one of the themes of the conference, but it's really, really important.
So maybe we should merge the two countries, and we will be a really big country. I visited China in 2005, and we met with the Minister of Industry, and I told him if we merge Israel with China, we will have the biggest country in the world because we will have 1.4000007 billion people, but they didn't expect it. Unfortunately, we soon have to finish. But Bill, Napoleon used to say that every private carried the general baton in his knapsack. I don't know how you say it in English, maybe.
Yeah.
And can we say that in Israel every founder carried the sweeping broom in his hand?
Every citizen does. The famous thing about our story is we first of all, we're going to meet Yossi, and before we sit down, he takes us to the kibbutz concert where we see the greatest hits of kibbutzes and, singing. They sang the National, This is the country that became the great entrepreneurial nation.
I will tell you about
the song about, the communist song. Then we went back to the coffee shop, and Yossi said to us, look, this whole country is one big startup extravaganza. Everybody in this place is doing a startup. He says, I bet you that kid mopping the floor and is got a startup. So he said, come here, kid. Really, this is legend now. Come here. It's actually the first 2 pages of the book we wrote about this. He says to the kid, hey, kid, you in a startup? The kid lights up, puts his broom down, he does a pitch to us. And then he follows up with he asked the waitress, and she's doing a startup. So the thing is, even the floor mopper, I have to tell you, I'm going to read one more thing. What made us realize, was, at that moment, was that what struck us at that moment was a really simple idea. These kids believe my ideas can matter. I can dream and I can dare. It's possible for me. And those 4 words are magic. Members of the Maglan that we met, became very close to, told us that. The Navy SEALs say that. When it's possible for me, that's when the switch goes off and you can go forward. And as long as you don't quit, failure is temporary.
Now you think it's a lot of fun, that you come to a coffee shop and the waiter has a startup and the guy who is sweeping the floor.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Now think about me, my life. Everywhere I'm going, there are 3 guys who are pitching me. The taxi driver, the shoe cleaner, the waiter. Everybody has a startup, and all of them are pitching to me like 24 hours a day.
So Yossi, but the other thing we learned from you is that there's always a little bit of shtick going on, a little bit of a shtick. So I just want to talk to you because I am a secret investor in Dog TV.
You have a startup.
And I just wanted,
Give us the pitch.
I texted my dog after those people presented. And my dog texted me back and he said, this is an incredible idea. He said, listen, there's 3 shows I always wanted to see. My dog says, here are the 3 shows. First of all, I want to see Chasing Jessica Stein. That's an obscure one. The next one I want to see is we had The Real Hydrants of Orange County. What do you think about that? He said, another one we could do sort of a fix-up show, This Old Doghouse. And finally he said the one I really want to do, because I love those chicks, Licking with the Stars. What do you think?
I will.
A winner. So I want you, what you think about, that's a winner.
Yeah, I think that we are going to invest in it. I will tell you, I will repeat to you always a very old Jewish dog joke.
Yeah.
And then this is the head of the county in East Europe wanted somebody to teach his dog to speak. And nobody is willing to undertake it until some old Jewish guy came to him and told him, I will teach the dog to speak. But it will take me 7 years. Okay, he goes away and his friend asks him, how did you undertake to teach your dog to speak, the dog of this guy to speak? It's impossible. He said, 7 years, either he will die, or the dog will die, or I will die. Now 7 years pass. Yeah. And this man called the Jewish guy and tell him, okay, yesterday it was 7 years. Does the dog speak? He said the dog started to speak yesterday, he doesn't shout his mouth. What does he say? He says that you are a thief, and you are a killer, and you are awful, and you are a liar, and you are a traitor. So the guy tell him, kill the dog. He said, I already have done it. Ladies and gentlemen, Graham Weston and Bill Schley. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.